everybody, and welcome to card 10. I started with the CC Designs. This is Swiss Pixie Country Lula. And I inked up, as always, with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, stamped her onto CC Designs, Copic Quality, 110-pound cardstock, and then started with the skin. So went from lightest to darkest, and then back to the lightest to blend out, so E01 to blend, and then the E50, which was my lightest again, to blend everything together. Once I've got everything all blended out the way I want it, I will go in and do her cheeks. So I'm using the R20. The ink is still wet at this point, so you hardly have to do any blending at all because the markers naturally kind of blend themselves if you work fast enough. But I take a little bit of the E50 still and just blend it a little bit more so it's not just like circles on her face. So once that's done, I go on to the hair. And this time I'm going to do blonde. So I started off with YR21, and I always just move the image around so that it's easier to flick the marker. I always just flick it towards me when I'm coloring, so it's easier just to move the image around rather than, you know, do movements with your hand that aren't natural, if that makes sense. So anyway, start with the lightest, work my way to the darkest. That YR27 is one of the new Copic colors, so I was kind of excited to use it, so I like this color combo. So once I've got that all done, I go back in with the YR27, my darkest, just to add a bit of strands in for some more definition. And then for her little dress, I started with R22, and then I go in with R24, and then add a bit of R17. I wanted her just to be red, but not like bright red. So I used these colors, and I blended that with the R24 again, and then finally blended everything together with the R22. And then for her shoes, I had to color them red, and I wanted them just slightly darker than her dress, but not a huge difference. So I just used the R24 and then the R17, and I didn't worry about the parts that went outside the lines, like where the little holes are. I'll deal with those in a minute. Then for her apron, I used R11 and then blended that a little bit with the R00, and then blended all of that together with the R quadruple 0. So once I got that, I took the R00 again and dabbed it into the little holes of her shoes. And with heavyweight cardstock like this, you just hold the marker a little bit and dab it gently, and it presses the ink deeper into the cardstock, and that's how you just press the ink out that's gone past the lines. So I did the same thing with the B quadruple 0 with that little bit of red that was kind of seeping out, and just lightly added a little bit of that to the eggs just to make them look a little more white. And then finally added just a little bit of the W5 to the bottom of her shoes, and that's all there was to it for the image. So I cut it out with detail cutting scissors, and then I'm using the pattern paper. This is My Mind's Eye, the Miss Caroline Howdy Doody papers. So kind of had a layout in mind of how I wanted things to go. And then once I had that figured out how I wanted, I adhered everything to the card front, which is Stampin' Up's. This was Cameo Coral. I think they retired this color a long time ago, but I still have some in my stash. And then this ribbon is another discontinued thing. This was by American Crafts. I remember picking it up at a scrapbook store in Canmore, Alberta, years and years ago when my brother-in-law got married. We were there for a wedding. So I got some of this ribbon, and I wish I got more. It's just a red but not quite red color, and oh, so pretty. And I shouldn't rave about it because, yeah, I've never found it anywhere since. And it's been almost 5 years, I think, since I bought it. I can't remember when they got married. Yeah, about 5 years ago. So anyway, I chose a sentiment from my So Wordy stamp set, stamped it onto another piece of the Cameo Coral with, sorry, there's a truck going by, with Brilliance Graphite Black ink, heat set it so it didn't smear, and then punched it out with Stampin' Up's small oval punch. And then I grabbed another piece of pattern paper. Wait, it's getting late, I can't even talk. And punched out some butterflies with the Martha Stewart butterfly punch, and adhered those to the card with some Tombow Mono Multi. And then for the little Country Lula, I used just some black dimensionals, peeled those off, and then adhered her to the card. And then did the same thing with the sentiment, added a couple dimensionals to that so that it'd be popped up a little bit too. So once I've got that all done and in place, I decided to add a few little embellishments to the butterflies. These are just Kaisercraft self-adhesive little pearls. And I just pick them up with the tip of my detail scissors and then stick them down, and that's all there was to it. So flip that over, put a bit of tape over the ends of the ribbon there so that my ATG adhesive can glide over that. And then adhere that to the card itself, which is Stampin' Up! Barely Banana cardstock. And then, of course, I couldn't resist. I had to bling up her shoes, because when they bought cute little red shoes, they have to be sparkly too. So I used Christmas red stickles for that, and then just gently dabbed that onto the little dots of her dress too, just for a little bit of shimmer. So once that's done, go on to the inside of the card, and I just used some of the remaining pieces from doing the outside of the card. Just switch things around a little bit. Kept the layout really simple. This paler pink piece, I chose one that wasn't too detailed or dark, so that's the part where you could write something to the recipient on, because a regular ballpoint pen would show up nicely on there. And then I chose another sentiment from the So Wordy set and inked it up with the Brilliance graphite black, and then stamped it onto a little strip of pattern paper. And then again, heat set that. This ink can air dry as well. It just takes a long time because it's pigment ink, so I always just quickly heat set it so it doesn't smear while I'm making my cards. And then got that into place. And then decided to add a couple more little butterflies, so I just punched out some more from the same piece of pattern papers I used on the front. Glued those down with the Tombow Mono Multi, and that finishes off the inside. So then I adhere that to the inside of the card, and that's all there was to it. So as always, there'll be a link to my blog post with links to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!